Very nice.
Sorry, y'all, we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. If we could just wait one moment. Busy meeting today.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Excellent. Good afternoon, all. I'd like to welcome everyone to this month's meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Alexandra Paul-Zotov, and I'm the Public Art Registrar within the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. In this capacity, I'm also the Administrator of the Art Commission. Let's all just take a moment to update our names and our pronouns, as well as to make sure we're muted. In accordance with the Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain meetings of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. As of last week, Governor Healy has extended this up until 2026. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Art Commission, anyone can join this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You may access this at the bottom of the page. If you're having trouble locating the button, please chat us for assistance.
Thank you, Paul. And thanks everybody for being here. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any artwork installed in publicly accessible spaces where they can be experienced by everyone for free. For transparency and public input, artworks proposed for City of Boston property are reviewed and discussed at public meetings of the Boston Art Commission on a regular and usually monthly basis. Working together with the public art team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the BAC, Boston Art Commission, is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 volunteer community members appointed by the mayor. And the BAC has exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or placed on city property. We do that work as a team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. Our team facilitates these public meetings and manages all phases, daily operations, and duties related to public art projects cited on or proposed for city property in collaboration with the Boston Art Commission, community members, and colleagues at the City of Boston. And helping to facilitate today's meeting are my colleagues Amber Torres, Public Art Project Manager, Birgit Worster, Senior Public Art Project Manager, and Alexandra Paul-Zotov, Public Art Registrar. And we'll add our email to the chat in case you had any questions for us. Okay, so that was our first Zoom bombing ever, I'll say. Apologies, everybody. Paul, are you okay?
Yes, I am so sorry about that. There were a lot of people who joined.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay?
Okay. Paul, we still have the setting where we have to approve people to come in?
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody want to take a moment before we move on? Or should we continue?
I was very happy to hear that was your first time that happened. I couldn't imagine if you had to operate like that every time.
No, and we were really worried about it when we first went virtual. And it just hasn't been an issue for us ever. So anyway, apologies, everyone. But if it's okay, we'll keep going. We're probably going to internally have to debrief and revisit our protocol. We really do love having these public meetings, and we've never had to screen them in any way. But we can, we'll convene internally, and let's just keep going because we really have some amazing art to look at today.
Karen, can I say just one thing?
Sure, Ruth.
I just want to say this is why we make art, is because people are doing crazy stuff like that in the world. So just want to remind us that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're here. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. All right, so I'll pass to John. I think you're going to do roll call for the commissioners.
Yeah, correct. Thanks, everybody, and thanks for your understanding. I know that was a very jarring experience, and Ruth, thank you for sharing what you shared as well, because you are indeed correct. This is why we do what we do. But I'd like to welcome you all, hopefully no further disruptions, and I call this public hearing to order at 4:42 p.m. And today the Commission's holding its monthly public meeting, which are generally held on the second Tuesday of every month, and we hope you'll continue to join us, those who are here to work on art here in Boston and not others. We engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is located on the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts people and the neighboring Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge the atrocities committed against Indigenous peoples, all of the communities that have been subsequently harmed, and the ways in which colonialism has created systemic oppression. We recognize the continuing presence of these communities and the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. We also recognize that Boston exists as a result of the forced labor and economic extraction from enslaved African Americans. Now I'll take roll call of the commissioners to confirm a quorum. Commissioners, after I state your name, please say here. I'll start with Vice Chair James Mason.
Here.
Diana Fernandez-Bibo.
Here.
Brian Hone.
Here.
Nigel Jacob.
Here.
And Abigail Norman. Abigail may be joining later, but we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. On this slide, you'll see today's agenda, which is also posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. We'll now take a few minutes to review our meeting minutes from the March commission meeting. Are there any comments or modifications that any commissioners would like to make? Paul, I did email you about that one confusing sentence that you've then corrected, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, John. Your edit has been noted in the minutes and will be reflected.
Thanks. Well, commissioners, hearing no comments, I'm curious if any of you would like to make a motion to approve the March meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 20th minutes.
Thanks, James. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Nigel, I think you got in there. Thanks so much, Nigel. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you approve the motion. James?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Nigel?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so the motion passes. And now I will pass it to Karen for her director's report.
Thank you, John. We have some great presentations today. We're starting out with Big Hoops to Fill, which is a temporary artwork on the Greenway by artist Shaharia Ortega. And the proponent for that is the Greenway. We have the wonderful curator there, Audrey Lopez, here. And then we're going to have the Peace Trail Poles, Love, Unity, and Courage by Ruth Henry, from whom we just heard. And this is going to be some temporary installations in Roxbury and Rosendale. And we have Bridge of Joy, more temporary works in the shipyard and dry docks in the Charlestown Navy Yard by artist Gillie Marc, and the proponent is Robin G. Marino in the Navy Yard. We also have presentations from the Public Art Triennial, Nomad II is a temporary artwork, which is going to be part of the triennial this year, in the Navy Yard as well, in Charlestown by the artist Beatriz Cortez, and Leo Crowley from the triennial will present. And he'll also share with us their plans for signage by Chris Grimley from Signals. And just very briefly, some updates on projects that we have going on. The Coconut Grove Memorial Emergent Memory design team is finalizing the design for our interpretive signage for the project. The City Streets Cabinet will host a design charrette for the redesign of Phillips Square on April 19th. In Chinatown, Senior Public Art Project Manager Birgit Worster will participate to meet with community members and hear thoughts on the 4 proposed sites for Wendy Sen's workers' statues in Chinatown, which you can see above. And the public art team is working with artist Destiny Palmer and SpeedPro on minor adjustments to the final design file for the mural at Vine Street BCYF before going to print. And now that final measurements have been received for the Adams Street Public Library branch, Priscilla De Carvalho has started working with engineers in fine-tuning, installation, and fabrication plans for the library, gearing up to present for final design this summer. And you can see some images of that work on the slide. Canvas of Culture Artists for the Carter School, Cyril Conan, Maciel Grulian, Ernesto Morange, and Georgie Nakima continue to engage with the school community to develop their mural designs for preliminary design, review, and presentation. And on the right, you'll see a photo from a recent site visit with Halverson, Tig, and Bond and Dimeo to finalize sites for a series of artworks being commissioned in Roxbury later this year. This project is phase 3 of the Whittier Neighborhood Transformation Plan that is funding Jenny Sabin's project on Ruggles Street and is located in close proximity to DeWitt Playground, where we have another commissioned by Marlon Forrester and Studio Luz Architects. And as always, we have a bit of conservation work going. The Webster's reply to Hain is continuing. Visitors are welcome to the Great Hall to drop in on conservation. And you can see here, structural engineering was happening and is complete. We're expecting, or their site visit is complete, and we'll share a report by the end of this week to determine next steps. And that is to determine whether and how we'll be able to rehang the painting. And with that, I think we'll be sharing with you our annual report. So I want to take a moment to thank a lot of work that went forward by Paul Zotov, our public art registrar and driver tonight, for pulling this together. We are supposed to be doing annual reports per our ordinance with the Art Commission, and we commissioned a local designer to work on this, and it is our hope that every year we'll be able to share the work by a different graphic designer. Paul, can you share a little bit about who the artist was this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with Junie Lee, who is a young individual from Boston, and he unfortunately couldn't make it to this meeting. But hopefully, if you're curious, I'm happy to share more about his practice as well as his contact information for any other graphic work moving forward. We're also going to be working with Junie to visualize our policy as more of a manual. So you'll get to see more of that kind of clean treatment moving forward.
And this was in all your folders. We know it's a lot to look through, so we're thinking we could just breeze through it right now. If you had any feedback for us, you could share that with us. This isn't something we're voting on, so you can just email it to us if you want, commissioners, or you can let us know in other ways. And if anyone from the community here would like to share, we will be making it available on the website and welcome your comments and feedback as well.
Awesome.
So we're just going to drive through here to give you a sense of what we have.
And here I just want to say, last year we approved 67 projects across city-owned property across every single neighborhood and spent over 1,520 minutes discussing public art. So thank you to all of our commissioners and everyone, all the members of the public, as well as our proponents and artists to make these meetings incredible places to come together.
All right. That is it. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks so much, Karen. That looks really great. And if any of you have any comments here at the meeting that you'd like to share with BAC staff, feel free. Happy to hear your comments. But for now, we'll move on to the agenda items for review, public testimony, and commission vote. On the screen, you'll see instructions on how to participate in today's meeting. If you have technical difficulties, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. When public testimony is requested, you can press the raise your hand icon and we'll call on you. And if you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. And now I'll pass briefly to James. James, just unmute yourself.
Yes, that would be helpful, right? Our goal is to make this meeting as good as experience for all. Please remember to keep your comments on topic, brief, and respectful of others. You can submit longer written testimony at bac@boston.gov. If you are called on, please state your name, title, program, and organization if relevant.
Thanks so much, James. And now we'll have a few minutes for general questions. If anyone has a question about BAC policies, procedures, or artworks, please feel free to raise them now. Anyone? Okay, well, we can move on. We offer this opportunity in case there are questions that you have that aren't necessarily covered in today's agenda. So thanks so much. And now I'll pass again to Vice Chair James Mason.
Thanks. Our first project for discussion is Big Hoops to Fill. And Karen, I'm passing this off to you.
Thank you, James. We're so excited about this project. As I mentioned earlier, our friends from the Greenway are here, and we always appreciate them being here. Jahari Ortega, the artist, and curator Audrey Lopez will share Big Hoops to Fill. And this is coming up very soon. And as the Greenway is state property through MassDOT, we do not need to vote on this, but they are here because they wanted to welcome this public process and feedback from the commission and from community members. So please do share all your thoughts on the project. And I will, with that, pass over to Audrey and Jahari.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. And thank you, Paul, for helping us get ready and inviting us here to present on this project. Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm excited to share this work with you. We have a project coming up on the Greenway called Big Hoops to Fill from emerging artist Jahari Ortega. Jahari is a product and a testament to the arts education that one can get here in Boston. She went to Boston Arts Academy, followed by Mass Art, and then just recently got her diploma at North Bennett Street School in jewelry making and repair. So we're super excited to work with Jahari on her first large-scale project in the public realm. Next slide, please. I first learned about Jahari and her work through these kind of large-scale jewelry pieces that she was making. So these bronze hoops on the left-hand side are about 1.5 feet tall and 1 foot wide. This Boricua Morena necklace on the right-hand side is about 2 feet wide and 1 foot tall. I'm not sure exactly how long the chain is, but Jahari's been really scaling up jewelry for a long time as part of her practice. And as soon as I learned about that, I was excited to invite a concept from her that we would commission on the Greenway, which is finally coming online this year. Next slide, please. So Jahari was really interested in the idea of bamboo hoop earrings that have, heavy cultural significance within communities of color, specifically women of color, Latina women, Black women, but going back quite a while in our history, and was interested in scaling those up and making a big sculpture on the Greenway. Next slide, please. But also making that sculpture something that was interactive and able to be enjoyed by the public. So this was one of Jahari's first kind of design collages that she sent back to us about the concept of not only making the earrings large scale, but then actually having them be on a swing set, similar to the one that she grew up playing on in Roxbury. Next slide, please. So we've been really excited to work with our production partners, BRM Production Management, who were able to make this rendering for us. It will be on parcel 19 on the Greenway, which sits at the intersection of Atlantic Avenue and Seaport Boulevard. So right kind of in the financial wharf district of downtown Boston. Jahari was really excited about bringing this concept to downtown Boston as a way of making space for women of color, not only to be seen and have this kind of everyday object be at a large scale in public space, but also a place of rest and play for everyone, but specifically for women of color who oftentimes don't get that opportunity in public space. Next slide, please. So we've gone into, we can go to next slide, fabrication on this. This is an image from the metal shop of the actual swing set frame, which will be installed on that site. Next slide, please. Followed by a few shots of the actual earring forms, which will sit on these steel interior supports that you see here, so very large scale. Next slide, please. And then those steel supports will be encased by a fiberglass and resin composite, which is the earring form itself. There's two handles, two sets of handles, one up high, one down low on the seat, so that people with different arm lengths and body types can easily hold on to the swing. We will also be putting kind of this a safety seating surface. It's like a little rubber mat, so people don't slide off the swing as well. And the range of motion on the swings are limited as well. So they're quite large. They each weigh between 90 to 95 pounds. So we engineered and installed a braking mechanism on the swing, so it only swings 3 feet total, so about 18 inches in either direction. And we really wanted to make sure that Yes, it's a functional swing. You can move on it, but we didn't want it to have that full kind of 180 degrees range of motion for safety reasons. Next slide, please. We've gone through the engineering process with SGH. So it's about 17 feet wide, 8.5 feet tall, and 9 feet deep. Next slide, please. This is an aerial view of where we'll be installing it and the kind of install plan. This is part of our own permitting process through the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. So install will take about 4 to 5 days, and it should be up and ready to go by April 23rd. Next slide, please. And so I just want to say thank you so much for this invitation to present. We will hopefully be hosting the opening reception for this piece on May 15th, and we'd love to invite you out to celebrate Jahari's hard work and this amazing artwork. So thank you, and I'm open to questions and comments.
Thanks so much, Audrey. Jahari, this is really a fantastic project. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments they'd like to make?
John, I'd like to chime in. I just want to say that I love this piece. As a Latina myself, I have a couple of these bamboo hoop earrings, and to see them translated into a piece like this that's full of whimsy and joy and, you know, culture and identity in play, it's so exciting, and I can't wait to see it and experience it on the Greenway. So thank you so much for coming to share this with us.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Audrey, I would say similarly, just kind of an exciting piece, and I'm excited to see the install. Can you remind me, how long is this on view for?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I left that out. So it will be going in at the end of April. We'll officially open it May 15th, and it will stay for about 18 months. So up through October 1st, 2026.
Cool.
And then after that, we're looking at finding a long-term home for this piece, actually back in Roxbury outdoors. So that's something that Jahari has been really pushing forward from the very beginning of this process, making sure that this won't go away after its first home on the Greenway, that it will actually be sited somewhere else long-term.
That's awesome. And that was my next question. So it's exciting to hear that the piece will continue to have a life beyond the install at the Greenway.
Audrey, I'd also like to thank you and Jahari for the careful consideration of safety features, including the handles, the seating, and the limited range of motion. It's exciting to be a project that is active and dynamic, but that every Bostonian will be able to use and activate themselves. So much appreciated, and for bringing this project to us. And now I'm curious if any members of the public would like to make a comment. I know we had some in the chat. Well, hearing none, we can move on to the next project. But Audrey, thanks so much for bringing this to us. And I think we're all really excited to see it fully realized on the Greenway. So thank you very much. Our next project for discussion is Peace Trail Poles, Love, Unity, and Courage. And Emily Rose will present.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to introduce Peace Trail Poles, Love, Unity, and Courage by artist Ruth Henry with Linda Smith, Nicole Bell, and Gio Go5, Ortega seniors at Madison Park High School, and John D. O'Brien seniors from the Fields Corner Youth Council. These temporary artworks are part of the Unmonument Initiative, and I'll pass it over to Ruth to present.
Thank you so much. Next slide, please. We're here presenting the next poles along our Peace Trail, which we got to inaugurate this past September on the International Day of Peace as part of celebrating 30 years of the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. Next slide, please. For those not familiar with the Peace Institute, we serve as a center of healing, teaching, and learning for families and communities impacted by murder, trauma, grief, and loss. And our work is really guided by these 7 principles of peace: love, unity, faith, hope, courage, justice, and forgiveness, which are also the principles of peace that we uphold in public space through the Peace Trail. Next slide. Next slide, please. Here is a reference. Oh, one back, sorry. The one with the reference slide. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. This is a reference slide of our first 7 inaugural polls, which are in Fields Corner in Dorchester along the route of the Mother's Day Walk for Peace, created with a range of guest artists in honor of the 7 principles. And we really learned a lot about fabrication through this process. So we're excited to take what we've learned and keep going. Next. This is me. I am the teaching artist in residence at the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, and I created the Peace Trail in honor of Deanna Manuel Taylor, who was a young artist murdered in 2005, and his sister, who shared the dream with me, whose name was Stacy Ann Taylor. And in their names, I work as the mentor artist on this project, but I'm excited to bring in many guest artists along the way, some of whom you'll be meeting in a moment. So on the next slide, we will be inviting first Linda to speak and then Nicole. Next. Go ahead, Linda.
Hi, I am Linda Smith, mother of Drayshawn Johnson. I will be creating a love legacy pole in his name. I was the contributing artist for the Love, Unity, and Justice polls on the Pilot Peace Trail. Today marks exactly 3 years since my son's murder. So this is a powerful moment to bring this project to life.
Thank you so much, Linda and Nicole. I know Nicole was on here earlier. I saw her at the beginning, but she may have gotten bumped out. So I will introduce her. You'll see her picture there on the slide, and Nicole Bell is the sister of Amin T. Bell, and she'll be creating a love legacy pole in his name. She was a contributing artist for the Love, Hope, and Justice polls on the Pilot Peace Trail. And this is also an important moment for her and her loved one, as April was Amin's birthday month. Next slide, please. And here we will call on Kim and then William to speak.
Hello, my name is Kim. I am a student at Madison Park. And I just wanted to say that we are for our poll, we are choosing the principle of courage. Gio Ortega Seniors designed it, and a lot of us are helping to make it, especially with just designing it. And I'm also a student of Gio's.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is William. I'm a student at the John Deere Brand School of Mathematics and Science, and also a member of the Fields Corner Crossroads Collaborative. And for our poll in front of O'Brien, we chose the principle of unity. So like the youth council itself, we initially designed it, and we have now moved towards implementing ideas from art students at the O'Brien to, give out what they believe unity is to them.
Beautiful. Thank you both so much. Next slide, please. Sorry. So for those who are not familiar with the Peace Trail, it's a collection of public artworks that transform pain through love, unity, faith, hope, courage, justice, and forgiveness. We have 7 inaugural polls currently in Dorchester, honoring victims of violent crime and cultivating new cycles of peace in their names. And we are now working on expanding the trail to Roxbury and Roslindale through tonight's presentation. We have 2 legacy polls designed by survivor families of homicide victims, Linda and Nicole, who you met earlier, and 2 generation peace polls designed by students for their school communities, which is Kim and William, who you just met. And together we hope to offer a pathway to peace. Thank you. Next slide. And Linda, if you want to explain about this one.
For this poll, loved ones and community members reflected on hearts, basketballs, and footballs about what a love touchdown would look like, what we love about Drayshawn's legacy, and what kind of love we are aiming for in his name and the names of all those whose memories we hold dear.
Thank you so much, Linda. And Nicole.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nicole, glad to have you back. We can move to the next slide and you can tell us about it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. And a slide.
Okay.
Can we move to the next slide for her?
Hi, I am Nicole Bell, sister of Amin T. Bell. I will be creating a love legacy pole in his name. I was a contributing artist for the Love, Hope, and Justice pole on the Pilot Trail. This is also an important month for me to be bringing this project to life as it is Amin's birthday month.
Thank
Next
you.
slide.
Do you want to just read about the second slide now too?
Okay. For this poll, loved ones and community members wrote song lyrics in honor of Amin's love of music. Lyrics reflected on the principle of love and how they each wanted to carry it forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Next slide. And we'll have Kim tell us about this next one coming up.
Okay.
So the design and visual students paint courage on tiles for mosaic panels within a metal frame. They also create connected laser cut metal illustrations of the school's many vocational options rising from these panels, like growth when we come out of our shell, a flowered vine by
I think that last part cut off, but the flower vine is being created by the metal fabrication students at Madison Park. Thank you so much, Kim. Next slide, and William, we'll hear from you on this one.
John Deere Bryant art students and Fields Corner Crossroads Collaborative Youth Council participants design Unity flowers as connected laser-cut metal illustrations. They also create additional flowers out of aluminum mesh and integrate metal flowers created by Madison Park Metal Fabrication in order to show how we can bring together many different kinds of growth onto one unified garden.
Thank you, William. Next slide. So here is our project site and property owner. We did already receive approval from the Department of Public Works Street Lighting Division, who we've worked with in the past on previous poles and who approved the locations and designs for these poles from their end. We'll have one in front of Madison Park High and one in front of O'Brien High, both on Malcolm X Boulevard. And then we'll have one in front of the BCYF Center in Roslindale. That will be Linda's pole, and then one in front of Orchard Gardens in Roxbury, and that will be Nicole's pole. Next. Here's our renderings on the pole sites themselves. Next. Linda, you can tell us about this one.
Here is some of the engagement we did with the community for my poll.
Thank you. Next slide, and Nicole, you can tell us about it.
Here is some of the engagement we did with the community for my poll.
Thank you so much. Next slide, and Kim, you can tell us about it.
Here's some of the pictures of the seniors. And one in the corner is my older brother, who is also in the program.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim. Next slide, William.
Here you can see our design process of our beginning steps, as well as some of the little drawings of flowers from the O'Brien art students.
Thank you so much. Next step, next slide. We have just a couple of letters of support to share with you guys. This is one from Dot House Health talking about how they think this project helps contribute to community health. Next slide. This one is from the Lower Roxbury Coalition talking about how this transforms our tradition of death site altars into a colorful map of possibility. Next slide. So this is just sharing a little bit of our fabrication and installation pole plans. For Linda and Joshan's Love Legacy pole, we're going to be using marine plywood elements drilled into 6 hinged panels of marine plywood that are then wrapped and padlocked around the pole, following the structure of the Justice pole, which is featured here on this slide. For Nicole and Amin's Love Legacy pole, the lyrics will be written in gold paint on 6 interlaced panels of black dye bond that connect around the pole and are padlocked together following the same structure and reference as the Justice pole featured here. Next slide. For our Generation Peace poles, for the Madison Park Courage pole, ceramic tiles will be integrated into 6 mosaic panels that are inserted in a hinged aluminum frame, which includes laser cut aluminum imagery, and the frame wraps around the pole and is padlocked following the example of the Pilot Love pole featured to our left. In the case of the Madison Park pole, a welded aluminum vine and flowers rise out of the hinged frame and wrap around the pole following the example of the Pilot Courage pole featured on the right. For the O'Brien Unity pole, laser cut, sorry, hope you guys can't hear too much background noise, sorry about that. Laser cut aluminum of integrated flowers created by the Youth Council and the O'Brien students will wrap around the pole following the example of the Pilot Courage pole featured here, and into the base are woven aluminum mesh flowers by O'Brien students and aluminum welded flowers by Madison Park students. Thank you. Next slide. In terms of preliminary maintenance recommendations, we are hoping to put these up on April 26th for 18 months. Based on the lifespan of our similar projects, we don't anticipate many maintenance needs over this time frame. That said, we do seasonal checks and have been doing them on our previous poles as well and completing any needed repairs on behalf of the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. So we'll continue to do that. Next slide. And in terms of plaques and signage, we have these sidewalk decals currently up in the current part of our Peace Trail. And we'll use similar designs coming up for this next round, but they won't be happening until the International Day of Peace in September. So we'll go through our same city approval process that we did last year for that when it's ready. But for now, we're just working on getting these next 4 poles up. Thank you. I think that's it. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have one more slide that says thank you or not, but thank you.
Ruth, thank you so much for this presentation and for all of the artists who shared more information about their poles that they've created, and the students as well. I now open it up to any commissioners who might to make a comment or ask a question.
I'd like to make a comment and ask a question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Abigail.
So first, I'd like to say thank you so much to the artists and the organizers. Beautiful, very, very moving project. I love that you, the family members, are involved in creating the poles. It means a lot to me to know that, and also that the students are participating in creating some of the art as well. So thank you for adding this very, very moving piece of art and multiple pieces of art to our city. I do have a question. You did show the street circles that will identify the poles, but is there a way that people walking on the street who haven't yet been part of the process will know the meaning of these poles and the deep emotion that comes with them?
We're working towards that. On the current decals, there is a QR code, and that QR code takes you to a story map. And we have done some filming of testimonials, and we're working on the editing process of that to we have right now on what it takes you to a story map where you can read a little bit about it, but we're working on expanding audio visual connections to that.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to make a comment as well, and just applaud you, Ruth, and all of the artists. It was so wonderful to hear from everybody, and the creativity around each of these different pieces is just really inspiring. So just wanted to say thank you for giving us that additional perspective and insight into the process.
Thank you so much.
Any other commissioners? And Ruth, I know you had a pilot for this program last year, and in your presentation, you had shared that there wasn't a lot of maintenance or conservation that was required. I'm just curious, with the materials that are created for these poles, what did you experience last year? Were there any sort of necessary repairs? Just to think about the lifespan of these artworks.
Yeah, the one that needed the most repairs was the faith pole because we had not used marine plywood. We had used a different type of wood on that one. So we remade all of those houses using marine plywood, and it has since withstood. So it withstood the whole winter with the repairs.
Oh, that's great.
Everything else is still standing strong. Thanks.
Good to hear. I'll now open it up to any members of the public that would like to make a comment or ask a question. Thanks for that, Rosa. Well, hearing none, I'm curious if any commissioner would like. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Alexandra here with the Peace Institute. I'm so excited for the possibility of this and the fact that this is growing, and really appreciating all of the survivors who were really leading in this process, and really guided this process. And so it's just very important to us that there are moments of reflection and transformation on every block in the city of Boston. And so this expansion is it's so exciting, so exciting. So thank you all.
Thanks so much, Alexandra. Now, would any commissioner like to make a motion to approve Peace Trail
I
poles?
have my hand up too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see the hand gesture. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. My name is Stephanie. I work with the Peace Institute as well. And I think it's important to understand that communities of color, we're often living under these sort of shadows of darkness and stigmatized by like hopelessness, helplessness, and dreams deferred because of lack of resources, lack of finances, just going down the list, including sensationalizing violence in our areas. And people on the outside looking in don't always see the beauty and the joy and the arts and the love that we exude in our community. So this Peace Trail is like an artistic symbol of what lies beneath the cloud and beyond the violence. And this is why it's really important to our community, because it exists as a transformative tool and as a reminder to all who pass through about the 7 principles of peace that we live by and ground ourselves on in this work: love, unity, faith, hope, justice, courage, and forgiveness, which Black and Brown communities thrive on. So thank you, Ruth, for the presentation, and thanks for the space.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Really appreciate your comment. Any other members of the public that would like to make any comments or ask a question? I don't want to move too quickly. Okay, in that case, would any commissioner like to make a motion to approve this project?
I would like to make a motion to approve the Peace Trail Poles project. Love, unity, and courage.
Thanks so much, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thanks, James. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you approve of the motion. James?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Nigel?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. Congratulations, Ruth, and to all the artists for bringing this meaningful project to Boston. And I know we are all very eager to see it realized. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys all so much. And a special congratulations, Linda and Nicole. I know this is an important month for you guys and a historical yes today. So thank you.
For our next presentation, I'll now pass to Vice Chair James Mason.
Thanks, John. Our next project for vote is Bridge of Joy. And for this, Amber, I'm passing this off to you.
Thank you. I just have a little bit of context to offer, and apologies for being off camera. I'm under the weather today, but A Bridge of Joy was first reviewed by the public art team as a part of the Neighborhood and Downtown Activation Grant a few months ago. They were awarded, congratulations, and a public art and design application was submitted recently, a few weeks ago. Around the same time, we were invited to attend a meeting with the Disabilities Commission for the piece. And after reviewing the artwork for accessibility and confirming the site approval process for the Boston Planning Department, which was formerly known as the BPDA, we're excited to invite Robin from Navy Yard Garden and Art to present this remarkable installation. Robin?
Thank you. I'm here with fellow board member Jules Pieri, and Jules has had the opportunity to work with the Boston Design Vision Commission, and just wanted to welcome her to the presentation with me. First slide, please. You just go back a few things. Okay, so good afternoon. Robin DiGiamarino, president of Navy Yard Garden and Art. We're a volunteer nonprofit in Charlestown, and pleased to be able to present Bridge of Joy to you for your review and consideration. The goal for Bridge of Joy is to connect two parts of Charlestown that are divided by the Tobin Bridge. I mean, you know it as Route 1, that big green bridge, the one that's frequently mentioned on the traffic reports. The installation will allow a human connection by the placement of the public art sculptures and through a catalyst of programming that will bring the community together. We're thrilled to have Gillie Marc's art here in Boston, coming the end of July for 2 years. When we started thinking about this project, we consulted with the university art staff, with the Boston Public Art Commission, and as Amber said, when we were able to receive grant funding and had a budget, we approached 4 artists to present proposals. In addition to Gillie Marc, Thomas Dambo from Denmark, Catherine Jin from Boston, Cicely Carew from Cambridge. All proposals were credible and exciting. We shared those proposals with our community partners, and we deferred to them for the final artist selection. On the left-hand side, you'll see the list of community partners. I want you to just take a moment to focus on the text bubbles on the right. After the proposals were discussed and a vote was taken, we asked the partners why Gillie Marc, and the bubbles give you some of the quotes. Our kids deserve nice things. And the kids in Charlestown are going to say, how did these artists pick us? How do we get something like this? And it's going to be a showstopper. Next slide. We gathered letters of support. State representatives, city councilors, superintendent of national parks, representatives from the Boston Planning Department, our partners, and community organizations. There's one quote that I'd like to read, and it's from someone who lives on the denser side of Charlestown. This side of the Tobin is foreign to folks in the Navy Yard, the waterfront, and beyond. This project could change that. This new bridge connects in both directions, and we agree. Next slide. Meet Gillie Marc. Their mission is to use public art to teach and raise awareness about conservation and protecting wildlife. They've created these 2 iconic characters, Rabbit Woman and Dog Man, that you'll see in the sculptures, but they use them to teach about the importance of coexistence, of the symbolizing of love and unity. And we're excited to have their sculptures with us. Next slide. On the map here, you'll see the location for the sculptures. At the top is the wild table of love, then the arms of friendship, and the hippo is hungry to try new things. And we'll go through each one of those now. Next slide. So we're requesting permission for installation of the sculptures from 2 property owners. We've worked with the Boston Planning Department before. We've installed 4 other public art installations in the past. We're scheduled to be presenting to them at their hearing this Thursday. The Mass DOT has an online portal that we've been using to approve a permit for art installations, and we're moving through the review process. Next slide. This is the Arms of Friendship. It's an octopus. It is huge. It's 39 feet long, 14 feet high, and 14 feet deep. It weighs 7 tons. Next slide. It will be installed within the Navy Yard on the brick plaza where the arrow is directed. Your vista is looking out into the harbor. You see the dry dock immediately in front with the water in it, and then the city harbor, and then beyond that, the harbor islands. Next slide. Looking down on the dry dock, you can see a black rectangle. That's the position for the sculpture. It will be centered on the brick plaza. Next slide. This slide, I want you to focus on the bottom right image. This image is taken from one of the engineering studies. It just explains the steel frame that's used and then the bronze that's fabricated to represent the animals. Next slide. The second sculpture in the Navy Yard is the hippo is hungry to try new things. I mentioned the 2 iconic characters. Rabbit Woman is sitting opposite the hippo. She's offering him a slice of watermelon. Next slide. The position for this sculpture will also be within the Navy Yard, but at the other end of the dry dock. If you've taken the ferry before, the Charlestown Ferry, Boston Harbor City Cruises, ferry stop is adjacent to this. It's positioned between the round pump house that you can see and a ball.
My husband sometimes.
We have a
Next slide, please. Looking down on the same location, you can see the black roof of the round pump house. You can see the square where the sculpture will be installed. The base is 7.2 by 7.2 and 4 feet, and it weighs 1,100 pounds. It's only half a ton. Next slide. And then keep going. You can see the steel framing again in the bottom right of this slide. Again, taken from the engineering report. The third sculpture is on Mass DOT property, and we're presenting it today so that you have the concept of the Bridge of Joy, that the art is the bridge that connects 2 parts of Charlestown. The Wild Table of Love is a table with animals sitting around it and 2 open chairs. The sign on the right, you'll recognize being held by Rabbit Woman and Dog Man, and the sign explains their work. Next slide. The sculpture will be located underneath the Tobin Bridge inside this rectangle area. Your vista is you're standing on the pedestrian walkway, you're looking across Chelsea Street to the Rope Walk building and then the Navy Yard. Next slide. It measures 14 feet long, 6 feet high, and 7 feet wide, and it weighs 4 tons. Our schedule, we've been working with community partners and we've scheduled a meeting with them for the end of this month. And we'll be pleased to announce to them that we've had these meetings and we'll start in earnest to look at programming. In July, the sculptures will be installed. August, there'll be a grand opening. In the fall, there'll be programming that will center on elementary school children, middle school students, and high school students. And from the winter of 2006 onward to the deinstallation, the community partners will be planning with us programming that would inspire and invite their communities to visit. Next slide. In preparation for these sculptures arriving in Boston, we invited the mover and the crane operator to come and meet with a Boston Planning Department representative. At that meeting, they agreed that the sculptures with their weight, they don't need to be bolted or attached to the ground. They can sit directly on the brick plaza. They'll come with all the tools that they need. They'll secure any permits. And as Amber said, we sat down with the Disabilities Commission. They were very helpful in having us think about placement of sculptures to allow anyone, whether you're in a wheelchair, a stroller, or on a bike, to be able to circle around each sculpture. Next slide. Each sculpture location will have 2 signs. The first one will be more informational about the exhibit, about the artist. There'll be a site map. More importantly, there'll be a QR code providing a multilingual audio that's done by the artists. We're working with the artist branding person and also with a Charlestown graphic designer to work together to create a visual identity for Bridge of Joy. Next slide. This slide will be a safety slide. It will focus on engaging with the art, but not climbing on it. The images here are from other installations, and we'll be drawing off of this to come up with our signs. Next slide. As I said earlier, the engineering studies were shared with us by the artist, Green Structural Engineering, and DW Knox and Partners provided the commissioners with their review. It's in their packets. And if you can go to the next slide, they really talked about the stability, the strength, the durability, and the fabrication. Dense reports, these screenshots just give you an idea of the amount of information provided to them. Next slide. And speaking of fabrication, these sculptures are on display now in New York City at the World Trade Center. They'll be moving from New York to Charlestown. Historically, the artists spend 1 to 5 years creating the sculptures. They travel often to Africa to study the animals in their natural habitats. All the sculptures are designed in Australia. They're cast at the foundries across the world. The sculptures coming to Boston were cast at their foundry in Thailand. Next slide. And last but not least, maintenance. The artist assumes full responsibility for the maintenance, cleaning, and repairs of the sculpture. They acknowledge that we will check out the sculptures 1 to 2 times a week. We'll document any needs for maintenance. We'll share that with the artist. They agree to hire someone locally to be able to make repairs. And with that, I'd just like to thank the commissioners for their review of this installation and pause now for any questions.
Thanks so much for that presentation. Commissioners, do any of you have any questions or comments? I did have one question. You said you were, I think next Thursday, having a meeting with BPD to discuss this project, and then you had submitted to the online Mass DOT portal. I'm just curious to learn if you've had conversations with Mass DOT about this project and its placement, aside
Yes.
from just submitting through the portal.
Yes, it's been email communication
Okay.
with Mass DOT, and their portal shows us between 75 and 100% complete. I think there's one document, a waiver that the artist needs to sign. The Boston Planning Department has a scheduled hearing this Thursday, and we're on the agenda.
I do have a question, and I realize you have a variety of signs that says "do not climb on," but I'm wondering if it sits in the sun, how hot does it get, and have you had any experience with people climbing or touching it, a very hot piece of metal?
That's a good question. I can find that out. I don't know the answer offhand, but I would think one touch you would know whether it's something you want to touch anymore. But it's, yeah, engaging with it. I guess you're right. It would depend on what the weather's like.
Any other commissioner comments or questions? I now would open up to any members of the public with comments or questions. Okay, hearing none. I am curious with the approval process still in effect, I wonder if our motion and approval vote should have a contingency that we approve pending final approval from the Boston Planning Department and Mass DOT. Do any other commissioners have thoughts about that?
I would just say, John, we wouldn't have to do Mass DOT because wouldn't vote on that one anyway, but I think
Oh, okay.
the planning department for sure.
Okay. Thanks, Karen.
I'll just say that the Boston Planning Department wants us to come before you first before they'll vote. So
So we'll have competing voting
yes,
interests.
yes. But they're hearing this about this installation on Thursday, the 10th.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Great.
And Robin, just so you know, it's very usual for us to say pending when it will come afterward. It's not unusual at all.
Thank you.
Well, with that, why don't I make a motion to approve Bridge of Joy at the Navy Shipyard, pending approval by the Boston Planning Department. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Thanks, Brian. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree with the motion. James?
Yes.
Diana?
John, I'm going to recuse myself from this one.
Okay, thanks. Brian?
Yeah.
Nigel?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so the motion passes. Congratulations, and I hope your meeting next Thursday goes well. You can tell them we're approved pending their approval, so best of luck.
I will share that.
Excited to
Thank
see
you.
these. Yeah, thanks, Robin. Excited
Yep.
to see these sculptures come to the Navy Yard.
We'll be sure to invite you to the opening.
Thanks so much. Our next project for vote is Nomad II as part of the Boston Public Art Triennial. And Birgit, I'll pass this off to you for a presentation.
Great, thank you, John. The next project, Nomad II, is by artist Beatriz Cortez. This triennial project, which explores themes of voyage, whaling, and global warming, has been sited at Pier 3 in the Charlestown Navy Yard for the site's proximity to the harbor and the infrastructural support required for the interactive elements of the piece. I'm happy to pass it over to Leo Crowley from the Boston Public Art Triennial to present.
Thank you, Birgit. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all again. And thanks to my fellow presenters for lovely presentations this evening. I'm here today to talk to you about Beatriz Cortez's Nomad II, proposed for the Pier 3 in the Charlestown Navy Yard. Beatriz has been in conversation with the New Bedford Whaling Museum and the Northeastern University Center for the Arts. In the upper right-hand corner here, you can see a past work by Beatriz that shows her really unique organic exterior that this piece will mirror. Next slide, please. Beatriz Cortez is an El Salvadorian artist who lives and works in Los Angeles. She's a multidisciplinary artist whose practice explores memory, temporalities, and migration. Her steel sculptures bring together disparate topics such as icebergs, volcanoes, whales, and ancient forms of knowledge to present forward-thinking, speculative narratives. Next slide, please. Nomad II was inspired by a trip Beatriz took through the Arctic Circle, where she encountered a massive boneyard of whale skeletons. Got her thinking about the whaling industry and the migratory patterns of both whales and humans. The shape of the whale vertebrae reminded her of a spaceship, and after learning that Voyager 1 and 2 carried a time capsule into space that contained audio recordings of whale songs, she was inspired to combine these stories in Nomad II, a steel vessel in the shape of a whale vertebrae / spaceship that invites visitors to interact with a control panel that features buttons that trigger a series of audio recordings. Beatriz pushes us to imagine a temporality where whales are so prized that spacecraft in the shape of their anatomy travel across the universe to share the voices of these magnificent creatures. It's also a wonderful tie-in to Boston's rich history in the whaling industry and a perfect project for the Charlestown Navy Yard. Next slide, please. Here we have an aerial view of the working area. Next slide, please. And our site map. The blue rectangle is the proposed project location, and the yellow star at the bottom is a power source, which I will come back to later. Next slide, please. Here we have some of the early iterations of the engineering and the specifications of the piece. The piece is 12 feet tall, 16 feet wide, and 8 feet long, which felt very big until that previous presentation. The materials being used are 16 gauge, 1.5 inch HSS square steel tube, which is welded together to create the interior structure. And then the exterior is made with a hammered sheet steel that's welded at the joints. All of this will be steel anchored and will contain audio hardware and analog push buttons. Next slide, please. Here we have some look at some of the engineering drawings modeled courtesy of SGH. Next slide, please. And a mock-up of the orientation of the piece on the site. Next slide, please. This is another past work that I wanted to share. So you can get a look at, oops, sorry, if we can go back. You can get a look at how the interior frame is this really organic structure that Beatriz creates, and then the pressed steel is welded on top of it. Next slide, please. And here's Beatriz in her workshop. Another reference, she loves to draw her references from nature. Another reference that she used was the form of a sea urchin. And so as you look at this frame, you can see the exterior body of the animal and then that inner circle mirroring the mouth. Next slide, please. Here we have some of the components that will make up the control panel. The polarized target meter panel came from a device that was designed and built by Robert Oppenheimer at UC Berkeley. So a pretty cool backstory. It was later sent to UC Davis, where it was decommissioned and given to Beatriz. The device will be part of the interactive components incorporated into Nomad II, and the public will be invited to interact with the sculpture by manipulating the control panel, which will emit a series of audio recordings, including whale song and icebergs cracking. Next slide, please. Here we have another of the mock-ups. You can see on that rear panel a mock-up of the control panel. It uses less than 1,500 watts of electricity, well within the range of an ordinary household outlet. The power source located on Pier 3 is very suitable for this, and we will connect to it via an all-weather outdoor extension cords. Next slide, please. And here again, you can see that yellow star that is indicative of the power source, and the yellow line, which is the path we will take to bring the power to the sculpture, which will ensure that it is well out of range of where the public will be interacting with the site. Next slide, please. Here we have some of the engineering. This was a really fun part of this project. As I've mentioned several times, Beatriz is a talented sculptor who draws her inspiration from nature, and her process is very organic. And so to have that dialogue between the artist who speaks in those terms with the engineers who are very much more grounded in nuts and bolts and linear and math was really interesting. Next slide, please. This is a close-up of the connector. Next slide, please. Our installation plan is we're due to start install on May 14th. The sculpture will be bolted directly to the concrete, no need for a steel pad. Equipment being used are pallet jacks and a lull. The work area will be fenced off to ensure public safety. We'll remove the sculpture from the truck. Crates will be unloaded, the segments assembled, moved into position, and then bolted down. We're working with our partners at BRM Production Management to oversee all of this installation. Next slide, please. And here we have our timeline. We are coming very close to installation, so it's time to get excited. The piece will arrive on the 14th. Installation will start that day. Beatriz will be on site to oversee this under BRM's production guidance. And then the piece will be on exhibition throughout the whole triennial exhibition period, which will be 5/22 to 10/31. We'll deinstall in early November. Next slide, please. As with all of our maintenance plans, we have both regular maintenance checks and extreme damage protocols. We're working with the BPD on this project. Everybody will receive a contact tree so they are able to contact us should they have any concerns. Routine maintenance will be made to check the functionality of the piece and the condition. Next slide, please. Accessibility considerations. The sculpture will be anchored directly to the concrete pad, so no step up will be needed. Sorry, excuse me. The area under the wing is 5 feet by 5 feet 5 inches tall and 5 feet 1.5 inches wide, ensuring ease of access. The signage will be printed in both English and Spanish, as well as containing a Braille indicator that will go to, and a QR code that will go to the audio descriptor. And as we know, the Pier 3 is very accessible by ferry, by bus, and a short walk from the Navy Yard. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go too much into our signage because the next presentation will dive right into the nuts and bolts of that. So next slide, please. As I mentioned, Beatriz has been in conversation with the New Bedford Whaling Museum and also with the Northeastern University Center for the Arts, where she will be in conversation with other artists about the climate resilience and icebergs. We're also drawing on our existing partnerships with the National Park Service, where we will also have 3 artworks on display throughout the triennial. Next slide, please. And I can pause here for any questions that anybody might have.
Thanks so much, Leo. Commissioners, any questions or comments about the project?
I have a comment and a question, John. I really love the interactive elements. I guess I might have missed this during your presentation, but where are the buttons that folks can engage with? Do you have to crawl into the cavity, or will there be elements sort of on the outside that allow you to sort of engage with it?
They will be on the interior. No need to crawl though. So the area under the wing, because the ship is at an angle, the area under the wing is accessible and flush with the grounds. And that is 5 feet wide by 5 feet and some change tall. So ease of access there.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for the question.
Any other commissioners? Leo, similar to the previous project, just in terms of possible climbing on the sculpture, I'm just curious if you'll have signage about that, or if it's something that people can do and what steps may be needed to take to mitigate any of that.
Yeah, we do have language that we typically use for these pieces, and we will have signage that touch encourage, interaction encourage, but please don't climb on the sculpture.
Okay. And congratulations to you for finding power sources. I know those aren't always easy with public art projects.
The rare jewel of the 24-hour power access in Boston.
I now open it up to any members of the public who may have a question or comment. Hearing none, I wonder if the commissioner would like to make a motion to approve Nomad II.
I would like to make a motion to approve the final design of Nomad II.
Thanks, James. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thanks, Nigel. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you approve. James?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Nigel?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. Congratulations. And now I'll pass it to James so we can talk about some signage.
Thanks, John. The next project for discussion is signage for the Boston Public Art Triennial. Birgit, I'm passing this off to you.
Thank you. And now the Triennial team will share the designs for project signage and wayfinding designed by Chris Grimley of Signals. I'll pass it back over to Leo Crowley to share more about temporary signage for the Triennial.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Birgit. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yep, thank you very much. As was mentioned, we worked with Chris Grimley over at Signals to come up with the design on this and also to help us think through the wayfinding needs of this project. This is, although we have a lot of experience creating public art and public art signage, it's unique in that it'll be in concert with so many other projects. We also worked with Sienna Scarf, who helped us do our graphic design. And for our vendor, we chose DCL, who has a rich history of creating fabulous signs in the Boston area, most recently, I believe, over in the Seaport. Next slide, please. Just a reminder of all the site locations that we're looking at, so as we can look at all the sites across the city that will feature these signage types, drawing some uniformity between the disparate projects. Next slide, please. Here we have the two signage types that we're envisioning for each site. On the left, the taller of the signs is the exhibition sign. This will feature information about the triennial, the theme, a map of all of the projects. And then on the right, you see the smaller project sign, which will contain exhibition text, information about the artist, and curatorial text about the project. The taller of the two signs is 9 feet to the top of the Boston Public Art Triennial sign, 7 feet to the top of the actual sign itself. And then the smaller sign is 4 feet at its highest point. So we are creating these with ADA guidelines in mind in terms of the fonts used and the heights and legibility. Next slide, please. Here we have the back of the sign, so you can see that the Boston Public Art Triennial will be this really noticeable beacon at the top that will be viewable from both sides. We are also exploring individual iterations of the taller sign, which can have information on the back should we need to have more room for text. Next slide, please. Here we have some mock-ups of the two signage types. This is not the final text, but it is indicative of where we're at and what we're working on. So on the left, you can see the open to all, messaging about the triennial writ large, the theme of the exchange, and then the map. This will also feature QR codes that will go to audio descriptors, to the Bloomberg app, and so that people can really plan their visit and navigate between the sites, hoping to encourage people to travel between the neighborhoods and the downtown area so they can get out and see all that Boston has to offer. And then on the right, we see the project text with the artist name at the top, the bio, and curatorial text explaining the project. Next slide, please. This is some of the work that we put into making sure that our fonts were all legible and keeping ADA guidelines in mind. Next slide, please. Same work with the different color palette. Next slide, please. And the same work on the third color palette. Next slide, please. Here we have some mock-ups, and you can see them next to humans or human-esque figures anyway, to get an idea for how the public will interact with them. Some of the specifics on the signage, they're created using a 3-inch by 1/8-inch square tubing, mechanical attachments to the base plates. We will be printed vinyl on aluminum panels, and we will have an acrylic polyurethane finish. The base plates are separate and either anchor to concrete or compacted soil, depending on the site location. They have been engineered to withstand 25 to 30 PSF wind load, which equals to winds of up to 108 miles per hour. The tall informational panel plate is 1/4 inch thick and printed on 2 sides. The base plate is anchored with 3-inch ground screws, and it is a 3/8-inch aluminum plate painted with holes for mounting the signs and holes for installation. We're also developing a weighted model for use when screws are not possible. We're not viewing that as an outdoor model, but for use in locations like the Boston Public Library, where attaching to the ground isn't a viable solution. Next slide, please. Here we have the engineering, as I noted, 9 feet to the top of the Boston Public Art Triennial sign, 7 feet to the top of the sign, and 4 feet to the top of the smaller interpretive panel. Next slide, please. Give you a view from the angle so you can see some of the sides. Next slide, please. And just one more view so you can see some of the angles. Next slide, please. These are examples of ground screws that would be used on softscape. Next slide, please. And similarly, ground screws that would be used on hardscape. We are in conversation with all our site partners, both public and private locations, identifying where these signs will be placed and addressing any concerns that they may have regarding that. Next slide, please. This was sent to the commissioners in advance, but this is some of the curatorial text for the project, the specific projects that are on the public site locations, which we have presented in the past. Next slide, please. And here we have Beatrice's project with the proposed locations for the signage. So the skinnier rectangle is the exhibition text, and then the smaller square is the project text. Next slide, please. Language regarding Swoon's project at the BPL. Next slide, please. And proposed locations that the BPL team is reviewing and will get back with feedback that they have. We want to make sure that we're being responsive to all the ways that the public use these sites. Next slide, please. Nicholas Galanon's text. Next slide, please. And again, the proposed locations, which have been shared with Kathy Baker Eclipse. Next slide, please. And Akene's text for his project Black Forest at Rev Loge Park. Next slide, please. The proposed signage locations in comparison to the art footprint, which is in the orange square. Next slide, please. And lastly, Lan Tuazon's text for her project in Hunt Almont. Next slide, please. And proposed signage locations. Next slide, please. Here we are at the end. Thank you all very much, and I welcome any questions you might have.
Thanks so much, Leo. Commissioners, any questions?
No questions, I don't think, but just congrats and a thank you for the considered approach to signage. I know sometimes it's easy for signage to get lost in the mix, especially for temporary projects. So really excited to see all the thoughtfulness kind of put in.
Thanks so much, Brian.
Leo, I was curious. I know in some instances that you are hoping to screw into concrete, and I'm just curious if you've had conversations with site managers about that and if they have given approval for that. And then once the installations are removed and site mitigation happens, sort of what steps might you take for those repairs?
Yeah, absolutely. The only public site that comes into play is the Pier 3 with Beatriz Cortez's piece. And we have shared both the plan for installation and site remediation plan. The remediation involves unscrewing the signs and then filling it with a cement filler product, which is relatively unnoticeable. This is a work area, the Pier 3, and so it's not one that's held very preciously. But that being said, we will return it to its original condition. Private sites, those have been different conversations depending on the site partner and which site we're talking about. We are developing, if necessary, a way to display these signs outdoors without needing cement screws. It's a kind of a push and pull there because of the high winds that Boston has and the strict wind loads that we need to adhere to.
Thanks, Leo. And then my next question is actually for Office and Culture staff. I had a chance to read through the didactic materials, but I'm curious. I know that there are certain goals that the mayor's office has for didactics, and so I'm curious from your perspective, any staff members, if those didactic materials seem reasonable for us to approve for these projects based on City of Boston property.
I'd like to turn to Birgit Worster, who came to us with many years of background in wayfinding, so that she could speak to this. And yeah, could you talk about that, Birgit?
Yes, thanks for the question, John. I do think we've all read through these, and we're working to launch our own sort of pilot program with the city with some of these same goals in mind for long-term artwork. So these do meet kind of the sharing out of both wayfinding for the overall project, the triennial program, and the focus on the individual art pieces and information provided. So we're happy with the review and the way that the triennial has considered the sharing out the intent behind this work.
Thanks, Birgit.
Great. John, I did also want to point out that we purposefully are printing to vinyl that are going to be adhered to these panels, so that as concerns are raised, we can, if necessary, reprint in order to update anything that is either outdated or we feel could benefit from a reprint. One thing that we have in mind is that the city will be launching the On Monument program. So as we think about how we lift all vessels and call the public's attention to all the projects that are available in the city, that's something that will be in continued conversation with our friends at MOAC.
Thanks, Leo. I now open it up to any members of the public with any questions or comments.
I would say real quick to Leo, just thinking about your last comment, and even just this evening, we've heard kind of multiple projects happening, in the vicinity of one another. I know that's another layer, but just thinking about kind of opportunities to highlight, those projects, whether it's on signage like this or in related content, could be interesting.
Yeah, one of the things that we're really excited about is the fact that we'll be employing the Bloomberg app, which allows you to create different layers. And so we're envisioning a layer where somebody can pull up like all of the public art that is near their current location. And so that'll be an opportunity for us to really uplift the great work that's being done by many people across the city.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Any other commissioner comments or from members of the public? With that, would any commissioner like to make a motion to approve signage for, I guess, the Boston Public Art Triennial projects on Boston public property?
I can make that motion to approve final design of temporary signage for Boston Public Art Triennial.
Thanks, Brian. Do I have a second? Nigel, was that a yes?
Yes, it was. It was actually my phone charging, but you also
Can you say I second?
I second.
Thank you. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you approve. James?
Yes.
Diana?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
Nigel?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. Congratulations. Excited to read and see those signs. I do think they are beautifully designed. So thank you very much for that careful consideration for that. And now we only have one order of business, adjournment. Commissioner, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Actually, John, if I could just make a comment before we adjourn.
Oh, sure, Abigail, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the past, I've raised the question of whether and when we might have an orientation. I've been, next month, I believe I will have been on the commission for 18 months, and there's never been an orientation. I know that there's a hope that new commissioners will come on board soon, and perhaps we're waiting for that, but I would like it to be put on the record that I request an orientation. Thank you.
Abigail, understood, and I know Paul is working on that. She's lining up the new commissioners, and there will be an orientation once they have joined the BAC, which I believe we will all be a part of, or at least as many as can attend. So stay tuned, but that is in the works.
Thank you.
And Abigail, I will make sure to note this request.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that.
So now, would any commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
Thanks, James. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Thanks, Abigail. When I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree. James?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yeah.
Nigel?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Thank you all so much. Exciting projects that were presented to all of us, and I know we're all excited to see them realized here in the city. And have a great night and a good rest of your week. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Can we stop recording, please?
I had to put in a request to record, and it's recording, but it doesn't give me the option to stop. I don't know if I have full ownership. Oh.